is just remind everyone of a couple of things. I was in a small state of panic over the weekend because one of my students emailed me to my school email, and like I said, when that happens, I get like notifications everywhere. Every single class that tab that's open gets a notification, and then the actual mail gets a little bell on it, and then I get a message sent to my Yahoo, and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And as it turns out, the student wanted, he was a student from mine from last year or year and a half ago. And they just wanted advice about career choices in animation. I think they might have even been doing a report for a class or something like that. And I just had to remind them to use my Yahoo. It's not only faster, but it's cleaner. I don't have to like go erase all the red bells everywhere. And that's Esther, that's in the welcome message, the introduction. You can see my Yahoo address in there. I didn't check the YouTube channel to see if anyone was watching last week's 2 lectures. I'm always kind of surprised that the lecture will be recorded on my computer here. I do it locally, then I upload it to YouTube, and then I usually never look at it again. My daughter was giving me a hard time because she said that, or I made a comment that in one of the classes, someone had viewed that movie, the YouTube movie, like 35 times. It's like, that's just you, Papa. I'm like, no, I don't watch my own videos. So in my regular classes, students actually go back and they find it pretty valuable to just really go through it and scrub, find the place that they want and review it. It's kind of one of the more interesting things about the pandemic. You couldn't do that on ground. You're not allowed to record in a classroom unless the teacher gives you permission. So anyway, it's just one of those little benefits for us. All right, so today's itinerary, today's stuff to do is I want to go over your thumbnails. In this particular class, which is synchronous, which you are with me on Monday and Wednesdays noon, I want to use a block of time where I go over whatever it is that you've posted live, rather than spending extra time typing and writing. I think that you get more out of it if you can hear my voice and listen to my words. And then just as a reminder, in the online portion of our class, I just put in a late, missing, redo, extra credit folder. And that one's open until like the end of August, middle of August. So if you want, it should show up right there. It should just show up right there. I see someone is uploading today's assignment, which was the flip book or bouncing ball, and we'll go through that in just a moment. Where's my tab? This was Cindy. Doing her bouncing ball. So I replied that it was pretty good. I think that the line of declination is a little flat. From my lecture, it's usually about 45 degrees, 30 to 45 degrees. So your angle here is like 20, if you can see my mouse. And what that does is it just kind of makes the bouncing ball really lively. It makes the bouncing ball look like it's got a mind of its own. The squash and stretch looks correct. The timing looks good, but I think the spacing could be tightened up just a little bit right there. All right, so let's take a look at some of these thumbnails, these boards from last week. By the way, Esther, I placed 3 images in this template or in this discussion area. One is just a piece of cardboard that you can make your own and cut out for using storyboard templates, they end up looking like this. And it's just a real easy way to draw storyboards. This proportion is 16 by 9. And I have a couple of different sizes. I have big ones too. So that's what that first JPEG is. This is my take on the principles of animation. And then just a drawing. Now I'm going to redo this drawing here. This drawing should work for the paper cutout, but I'm gonna do another version where the camera is horizontal. All right, we talked about Carolina's on Wednesday, and I think we talked about Tiffany's on Wednesday. Tiffany, did we talk about this on Wednesday?
Yeah, you did. You just said like I should make my panels bigger and other stuff.
Right, the right proportion. You know, because they're the wrong ratio. All right, and then I think we, Saridia, did we look at yours last week?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we did. Okay, and then Lauren, did we go over this one in class last week? I think we did. I think we did. All right, Aaliyah, did we go over yours?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'm just getting caught up here. Naomi, yes, I remember talking about this one. Kayla, did we go over this last week?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Roberto, I think this was new to us. So this got posted on the 7th. So yeah, that was probably later in the day. Roberto, did we go over this one yet? Roberto, I know you're here. I know you're hiding from me, Roberto. All right, so just a couple of things about Roberto's hand in here. He's got his project called Alphabet Soup. And as we look through this, you can just see that there's a title card. It's rough. It's in the thumbnail kind of position. A character is sneaking up across the police line. They see an outline of a figure on the ground. It's kind of hard to see what this character is actually looking at. Some sort of triangular shape or something. It's kind of hard to see what that is. And then in panel 4, this might be, yeah, I think that when I reviewed this last week, we totally get the idea of what you're doing with the letters here. It is hard to read. I think that you might have wanted the letters to be on this card or something. That was kind of unclear. But your character takes those weird letters and like searches for them, and he can't figure out what's going on. He looks at his own little alphabet soup. He's got some idea about it. And then these panels here seem a little bit out of context. He might be just going to work. I think that in the story, you were allowed to do that. Or if he's a private investigator or something, you know, there could be something like that. I think at one point or another, you want to get in there and make sure that some of the details in these panels are reading correctly so that we know that this guy's a private eye, or, you know, what's going on with this bad breath kind of thing, because in the next panel, he figures it out. He takes the letters and re-scrambles it and figures out that they spell the name of possibly the character who did the bad deed and killing him. So, or whatever it is. So I think that just a few details are missing, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, Grace. Did we talk about this last week, Grace?
No, we did not.
Okay, so I think your character designs are a little messy right here, but that's okay. I think that the first thing you do is just get it out there. You draw it, and then you can always go back in and touch it up later. But we got the idea that you've got a girl with either a bow in her hair or cat ears, and then there's an Eevee sitting right next to her. In your character boards, oops, I think I jumped to a wrong position. In the boards, puppy dog eyes. So I like these drawings. I think that whenever you look at a composition like this, whatever is darkest is the thing that you are going to see. So whatever has the most contrast is the thing that we see. And we do see your character, so that's good. If these trees that were drawn in the background were really, really dark, it might have been really impossible to see. So what you're doing here, what you're doing is creating an essence of what's called atmospheric perspective. Let me expound on that for just a moment. And atmospheric perspective is the rule in art that anything that's furthest away from the camera is lighter and lighter and lighter. Anything that's closest to the camera is darker and has more detail in it. And the reason for that is that there's particles in the air, there's air, there's fog in the air, there's dirt, there's dust. So the rules of atmospheric perspective is that anything that's close to the camera is nice and dark and full of color. And that as it goes away from the camera in perspective, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. It's one of the rules of art, and we borrow it for cinema all the time. Now, on top of that, this image right here with the 3 trees in it, whatever has the largest amount of contrast is where your focal point is. So our eye immediately goes to this tree. So that's what we were doing with the rules of atmospheric perspective. And you've got that working here a little bit. All right, and so your character is doing something, possibly having lunch. And then all of a sudden with that view of the dog's eye view or the worm's eye view or the cat's eye view or the Eevee eyes view, we see that the character comes up to her leg and interrupts her enjoying her sandwich. Now this is a POV shot where she was going to take a bite of her sandwich and then she looks. So this is good leading and then looking down. That this is a nice top view, bird's eye view almost. And we see that the character, the little Eevee character, was possibly begging for the sandwich. And this is a nice reaction here. No, you're not getting my sandwich. But I believe when I reviewed this last week, this is just really nice because she changes her mind and gives the character a piece of the whole sandwich. I thought she just gave it the piece of it, and now they're fast friends. So this is very good. This is actually very good. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Yeah, this works out pretty well. I think that you can be happy with this, and you are following some of the rules of ground plane, horizon. I think that you spruce these up a little bit by making sure your perspective grid is in there, but your camera's in the right place. It looks really good.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, and I think I had one more here. So this is Brenna. Oops, sorry. All right, so I got to look at this one a little bit. We see that there's some tomatoes. Be careful of your photography. You've got the phone in your hand and you snap the picture. Take a look at that picture. You know, as your art teacher, I'm gonna like demand that you take certain care of aesthetics, because you could have just looked at this and said, oh, geez, there's a great big shadow right there. Let's just take the picture again. It's really easy. But so preview your work. Just get the images that you're taking pictures of lit as well as possible. All right, tomatoes, this character was possibly looking away, or that you just didn't draw the face in there. I think that that's what it is. The camera goes up to the face. So the character was not looking behind them, but they're worried about something. They're stirring. A fire happens inside the pot. That's crazy. And so they panic. So when I looked at this morning, I just wanted to make the 1 point here of exaggeration. Remember, we talked about exaggeration last week as a principle of animation. And what I'd like to do is just kind of tease you with the idea of how you go about doing that. So for one thing, I think that, you write the word panic, which I think is good, but I think your camera's a little too far away. In here, I think you can do a crash zoom. You could just zoom really fast into the character's face, right? And so having done that, what does panic look like? So you draw a really big face, you draw really big eyes, right? You draw little pupils, you draw the mouth going, oh my God, right? And this is just like as extreme as you can get it. You draw the eyebrows like really far up off the face. You can draw the hands on the head. So I'm just going to block in the upper and lower arm. So this is the shoulders. This is the upper arm, the lower arm, and the hand. So I'm just kind of thumbnailing it like, oh my God, right? Get yourself in a mirror, right? If you can see me in the little preview window over in Zoom, it's like, so play around with this. Play around with just how big you can make these eyes. The idea would be is that once you kind of lock that in a little bit, oops, I just erased too much of my drawing, that you could play around with the idea of, the eyes looking to the left, the eyes looking to the right. There's all kinds of fun things you can do. It's like they're looking for the fire extinguisher, right? And then they look at the camera. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do with just the idea of exaggerating this particular pose. And then as I previewed this, they run off, they run back on. Again, I think your camera might be just a little too far away here. I think that they're scrambling, they're running. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? The pot is still on fire. And it looks like your main character just puts out the fire with the tomatoes that they were cutting. And then I think that this drawing here just needs a little bit of work, because I think that what you would want to say visually is that the fire went out, but dinner is ruined. And so at this point, you would want to make this like smoke, right? You'd want to make this like really puffy, billowy smoke. Because the fire's already out. And then you just give up and order a pizza. I think that your story is fine. I think the drawings are getting there. I think you're having fun with it, which is like a big part of this. So very good. All right, let me make sure that I have a record of this. That was Brenna. Okay, thank you, Brenna. All right, Isabella. Is it Isabella or Isabel? Correct.
Isabel, but I also go by Izzy too.
Izzy, okay. You can change your name in Zoom, right?
Yeah, but I go by both Isabel and Izzy.
Izzy,
So.
okay. Did I write that down? I don't think I wrote that down last week. Hey, who took my red pencil? Is that Izzy with Z's?
Yes.
That's important, right?
Not really. I go by both.
No, I mean the letters.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, if it was ISSE, that wouldn't sound right.
No.
All right, Izzy. All right, I think I looked at this one.
I don't think you did.
No, I mean, I looked at it this over the weekend.
oh.
Right, so there's a young girl, a cat comes up. In panel 6, there's a thing of flowers. So is this supposed to be a view outside the window?
No, it's like a poster.
Okay. So I think that you might want to just draw that so it looks like a poster rather than panel 7, which looks like a window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure. So that would be this little poster up here above
Mhm.
the bed or above the couch. All right, so
Yeah.
the cat kind of wanders in and then goes outside, looks at the flower that the cat saw through the window and gets stung on the nose by the bee, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then I think that this is a reaction pose right here in panel 15. I
Yeah.
think that's good. She panics and runs and goes to get her little buddy. And I think this is great. So in 18 panels, you told a complete narrative. I think that's well done. 20 panels. So you do even do the close-up thing here. You know, there's this thing that's kind of trending on social media where families who've gone out with their dogs and their dog is like, roo, 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 and they're just messing around with the bee and the dog gets stung on the nose. And then all of a sudden the social media has this pose of the dog's face is just really exaggerated. I mean, you could try something like that. You could try getting in a little closer on the cat and showing like a little band-aid or something. Because the idea is that flowers are beautiful. There isn't always a stinging bee on the flower. So that's good. Thanks you, Izzy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so let's continue here. I have a couple of flip book projects here. All right, so Aaliyah. Okay, great. I think that it's exactly what the authors of this class were going for. The idea of just getting some drawings in sequence. You got a reaction, a nice simple pose. Excellent. This is really great. And then you'd have an image for the bouncing ball. I'm not sure what this
They're
image-
GIFs, but you have to open them in a new tab because the interface is weird. You can do it with the 3 dots on the more. Yeah.
You're muted.
Mr. Billy, you're muted.
That's weird. I don't know why I muted myself. So this is good. I think that the only critique I might have is that I think your ball could be drawn just a little bigger. That's good. Okay. All right. So this is great. And so is this just a drawing, or is this a GIF as well?
Yeah, that's also a GIF. It's a run cycle.
It's a GIF.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you're following the online rules or examples from a textbook or something. And this might be a little slow, but you've got a really nice change of line of action within the core of the body. Excellent. This is really good. Have you animated? Did you just animate this week, or is this from an older period of time?
I've done like small animating projects, but nothing as big as this. This is my first run cycle.
This is great.
Thank you.
You could be really happy with this. What did you draw it in?
Oh, I used the rough animator.
Rough Animator. And you followed examples online or in a textbook?
Yeah, I was referencing cats running.
Right. This is great. This is excellent. I think you should be and can be and will be very happy with this. There's a couple of things that for all of you to look at. The front legs and the back legs are overlapping each other just really well. You've got an area where the cat is actually fully up in the air, which is great. I think that you might want to drop this to ones, just so that it looks a little faster, a little speedier. Because it's just working just a little bit slow, but it's great. Like I like the little bob you've got in the nose, so that's really great. All right, and this was just a drawing, right?
Oh yeah, it's the same ball bounce GIF. It's just
That's
with
just
the setup.
the layout. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. You can tell you're having fun with it, which is a big part of what we're doing. All right, okay. Okay, so this is working good. Servidja, again, just yell at me if I
Yeah, no, you're getting it. You're getting it.
get my name. So this is great. Did you do this on your phone?
No, flip a clip. I used my iPad. It was just to draw the.
Right. Yep. It's and when I'm I don't make that comment just kind of simply. When I look at it, it's like I'm looking at the arcs and the shape and the timing, and so it is working pretty good. It's working really well. I would take issue maybe with the vertical format of the video.
Yeah, when I recorded it on my screen, it didn't change it, and
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
No,
just
it's just
recorded.
the way that you have it. If you were to try orienting your iPad
Yeah.
horizontally, it might work. But for what it is, it's great. Let me make sure I'm making notes of this. All right, and then you've got, you killed your character. What did you do to her? Is she falling?
No, I tried to make her spin off the screen, but that didn't really work. I didn't really know how to animate this.
I think I can see what you were going for. And I think that's why we're doing a class like this, is to set it up so that you have a better understanding of this. So here's a little pointer for you. So you want this dancer to like tumble off the screen?
Yeah.
That was a question. All right, so does she come in from off the screen?
She was supposed to, but it looked too stiff when I did it, so I just
Okay. All right, so just really simply, right? The idea would be is that she's gonna come in from off the screen, she's gonna land on the ground right here, and then tumble off the screen. Again, I think that you would try to work this so that you want move your iPad horizontally, so that gives you a little bit more horizontal space to work with.
Mhm.
I think you should be able to do that. Just
No, the canvas size is horizontal.
Mhm.
It just blends in with the rest of the controls.
Oh, I see. The canvas is right here.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you can never mind that just for the moment. All right, so what you do here is you think about it in terms of thumbnails, just like we talked about last week. So this is your stage. You know, you've got a couple of frames where you're sequencing what's going on. And in here, you've got a background. So you just got the idea that there's a background or a horizon line or something. And in each one of your panels, you just kind of put it in there. So then what does your sequencing look like? So, you know, you can kind of get the idea of what's going on just from this thumbnail here, where your character is going to come in and land. And so here you can have just like 1 foot. And then you use this pose right here where she's landing. And then here, remember with our ball bouncing, right? When it hits the ground, it squashes. So you really can't squash a character that has bones and muscle, but you can. Because in this pose here, you can kind of just get her folded up on herself, bring her arms down so it looks like it's squashed. And then in this pose here, get her to recoil by just going off. And then this tumble thing, you can actually get the character to tumble off, and then you might need one more pose for her to just leave the stage. So this is the idea of thumbnailing, because I think that what you've got going there is that because you didn't plan it out in space, your character is just floating around a little bit. So try it. You know, go back in and actually try to bring that character from off the screen, land, squash, and then tumble off the screen.
Okay.
Okay, that looks good. Thank you, Servidja. And Lauren just posted.
There was also a walk cycle.
Oh, there was.
Yeah.
Oh, there was. Okay. Okay, so this is great. We could go over this today if we wanted to. I think we might have enough time for this. So this is an excellent start. Kayla, there's a late or missing work folder posted. This stuff is under the folder Flipbook or Bouncing Ball, which I added this morning. And it was one or the other. Some people were doing both, but you only needed to do one or the other. All right, so this walk cycle is good. You follow an example from either an online source or a textbook. You've got the contact down, passing, and up. I think that's all working. I think the only thing that you would want to do is go back in there and see if you can isolate your drawings and see if you can slide them around left or right, because you need to register your drawings. And what that means is that you need to lock the feet down. So when this character's foot lands right here, it has to stay there until this foot is going to come up and land here. And then it's going to do its little arc like that. So, but when this foot is on the ground, it has to stay there. And so your feet are just sliding around a little bit. Sometimes it's easier to do these walk cycles in place where they're walking on a treadmill. And then so the foot lands and then it goes backwards and it gets picked up and then it dips down a little bit and then it goes back onto the ground point. So this is the correct arc for the cycling on the heel of a walk cycle. So this is contact, down, passing, and then up. These are the up positions: contact, down, passing, and up. And remember that we started to talk about that a little bit at the end of class last week. And once again, we don't have to go too deeply into this because the class, the modules really aren't set up for it. But just in a Google window, 2D animation walk cycle, and we're switches to images. And so this is just kind of a review of last week. Remember, we saw the same kind of thing. Contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up. So if this character right here in this example was actually going to move across the stage, then as an animator, you can use this example. It's from the Richard Williams book, that this heel lands right here. This heel is in this heel needs to be over here. This heel needs to be over here. This heel needs, so you need to line these up. If you were to do it just like it is right now, his foot would end up sliding across the page. It's just one of those things that we do as animators, is to study whatever we can for mechanics of drawing. Hopefully you understand that, because the character can move across the stage. If they move across the stage, then the heel needs to stay in position. If the character is walking on a treadmill, then the heel just does the action that we had just talked about. So here you can kind of see that the feet are sliding around just a little bit. I think the drawings are correct. I think if you slid them and get them into the right place, you might be a lot more happy with it. Okay, thank you, Survidya. All right, Lauren, please refresh the page. Oh, that was weird. Okay, looks like Roberto put in a file just a moment for you. All right, so 2D animation, Roberto has got. Okay, this is great. Characters' feet are actually locked to the ground plane, which is really nice. There's lots of squash and stretch in there, lots of rubber hose style animation. It's really fun. It makes for a great flip book. I think you could even pose on that little help thing just a little longer and shake them around a little bit. Yeah, Roberto, this is very good. Roberto, did you show up today?
Yes, sir.
You're here, okay. To make sure I do my attendance correctly. Now, Roberto. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, okay, never mind. Yep, this is really great. I think that you could jazz it up by giving yourself just a little horizon back there so that he's not floating around in space, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Just give yourself a little horizon. This is great.
Thank you.
Lauren. Okay, bouncing ball. Yep, you got it. That's how to do it. Looks good to me. Looks like you had fun with it too. This little shadow. Anyone, if anyone could see that. She went back and put a little shadow underneath it. That's excellent. Makes it very believable for 3D space. A little horizon back there and a little perspective grid, and you've got it locked. Looks really good. All right, walk cycle. Is this a GIF?
Yeah, it is a
Lauren?
GIF.
Okay. Okay, good. I think it's working really well. The feet are actually progressing. They're not going backwards on each other, which can be a problem in animation. It looks like you might have a total of 4 drawings.
Yeah, it's just 4.
It's 4. So what happens with 4 drawings in a walk cycle is that the movement of the hands looks like they're clicking each other forward, and that the feet look like they're kicking each other. But they're not. You've got the up and down motion. The only funky thing, you know, like, and I'm talking like funky, like in terms of Miles Davis or something, would be is that this body is just really long. I think that this might have been better if you would have given your character longer legs. And you could probably still go in there and touch it up a little bit. It might look better if your character has longer legs. See what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, but the animation itself looks good. Looks really good. Okay. Okay. Refresh. Refresh. There we go. All right. So for everyone, this flip book or bouncing ball is open until August 11th. And I just extended the storyboard one till August 11th as well. So that means you don't need to use the late or missing folder here. You can always just put them right in here, and I will see it here. I will just see these zeros become real numbers. All right, so what I would like to do is just take a 5-minute break. So give yourself a 5-minute break. When we come back, I'm going to do the lectures for stop motion animation. And Brennan, you're here today. Brennan, are you on camera?
Oh, I have my camera off, but I can turn it on. In my screen, I can only see you.
You can't see all your other classmates?
Oh, no, because I'm on my phone. Someone's
Oh, I
using my
see.
computer
Oh,
right
I see.
now.
Okay. All right, so and did I send you a link to the other lectures?
I'm not sure. Let me check my email.
Well, if not, just email me at my Yahoo and I can send you the link. I thought I did, and then you can subscribe to it, and then you can see all the other stuff. All right, take 5.
Oh, you were
everyone.
talking about the recordings, right?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, you did send me that. You did
Okay,
through YouTube, I think.
okay. All right, let me get back here. Hold on a second, everybody. Share my screen again, because that's the nice thing to do. All right, so what I'd like to do is introduce the next topic. Let me refresh this to see if anyone's, ooh, there's 3 new submissions here. So let's take a look at them. Naomi. So it looks like you've got 4 drawings, right?
Yeah, I have like 5 drawings, I think.
I think it's starting to work. I think that also your feet are sliding. So see if you can go in there and select it and slide them so that the heel that's landed on the ground doesn't move around. But I think the poses are correct. It's kind of hard to tell because it's sliding just a little bit too much. I like your character design. Yep, that's working. Okay, so, and this is working too. Remember that this is going to be a lot more realistic if you play on that one thing that we talked about last week, and that is the deceleration. So between between this top of the arc and this top of the arc, you've got a very strong angle here. And I think that you just need to continue it. So this becomes a little unrealistic, as well as this and this. I think that a correction would have been bringing this up. Like this. It just makes it a little more realistic, because this one, it just, the ball ends up becoming a little bit too self-motivated. Squash, stretch, squash. Yeah, it's good. I think that just make that little correction on those last little bounces right there. All right, let me record this. That's Naomi. All right. Was there another one there? No. Okay. Kayla. Uh-oh, it looks like you got a GIF as well. Is this a GIF? Okay, looks great. All right, I'll buy it. Thank you, Kayla. It's just that simple sometimes. Okay. So your next topic is stop motion animation. Let's just reiterate this. All right, in our outline mode here, they're going to talk about two different kinds of stop motion animation. This one is just using found stuff, and then this one is using paper cutouts. So for the found animation, let's just go through this. All right, so the history of stop motion goes all the way back to Willis O'Brien, all the way back to the King Kong, moving through the 60s and 70s through Rankin and Bass, and then into the late 80s and 90s with Tim Burton and Henry Selick doing Nightmare Before Christmas, taking stop motion to a completely new, wonderful animated plane. I'm going to put these in the right order, go to the next one. I did something wrong. All right. This is Jan Svenkmeyer. He was working in Eastern Europe, and just a whole bunch of really wonderful avant-garde, really artistic, this says bizarre, short films. But I think that if you ever have a chance, go back and check out Prague, Czechoslovakia, Eastern European stop motion animation, because during and before World War II, artists weren't allowed to express themselves. And if anyone in that whole region was caught making fun of the Germans, you were murdered, on the spot. And so what they did is they just made puppets, and they told stories with their puppets to make sure that the Nazis weren't anywhere around, and it was their form of entertainment. As it is today, Czechoslovakia has the biggest puppet museum in the world. And Jan Svenkmeyer was doing his puppets in stop motion. All right, so for our project then, this is Lego blocks are a good way to start your project. All right, so you get the idea of this one. There's a pretty good amount of production value in this, where you're using colored paper and you're animating just at around the shape of the chair itself, on the wall, on the table, on the little bowl. It's actually quite a bit of work there. Let's take a look at the Lego one. Okay, everyone catch that? Here's another one, student example, buttons. All right, that's just as simple as you can get it. And remember that what the advantage that you're going to have is if you use the drawing that I gave you. And so instead of the paper or the flip book here, your camera, your cell phone is up here. Your lights, you have two different light sources, one coming from a window, one coming from an incandescent lamp. Just make sure there's no really harsh shadows. Make sure that everything is lit pretty evenly. And so that way your camera is here and you don't have to touch it. Now, you know that the routine here is that in this close-up view right here, this camera, your cell phone can be reversed so that your screen is pointed upwards. And so you can manipulate the controls for taking pictures of it. So there's a couple of different ways just to handle that. And this is a good one. All right, let's go back to our example here. All right, here's another student example. Okay, it's simple enough. One thing that is very common between all of these so far is that your camera is nice and steady. You have to have a place to hold your camera steady, or your animation will be wandering around and jiggling around all over the place. The idea of a camera that is moving around and jiggling around adds to the uneasiness on the viewer's part. So if you wanted to tell a story of two characters fighting, or one character that's about to get into a very dangerous situation, then having a handheld camera could be something that you wanted. But for just studying animating of real world objects, lock your camera down. Make sure your camera is not moving around. They're giving you examples here for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Nightmare Before Christmas. Anything that Leica has done, you know, that is the epitome, the best in stop motion animation. Kubo and the Two Strings, the animation is just crazy beautiful. Okay, this is really good. Let's take another look at that one. So, you know, 10 seconds is good. Camera's in the right place. The lighting is good. Camera's not moving around. Okay, and so just that simple. I mean, this duration says 1 minute, but it's only 10 seconds. Here's another student example. They're dead. All right, so now this is a professional example, and I remember seeing this online 2 or 3 years ago. And this might have been done by one of the agencies that works with Target stores. Just because I remember seeing that there was a whole ad campaign for stop motion clothes at Target. Shiny. All right, hopefully me recording that's not going to get me disqualified for YouTube. But so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play one for you. All right, so once again, what I was saying is that in the idea of shooting the stop motion straight down, which you can do, you saw the little buttons, then you can use your camera just pointing down. So in this condition here, the buttons were just moving around. And the other example, the banana was just sitting there and his little peel was like that. And he had his little thing, his little pencil right here. He was going opposite of the main action for an anticipation. And then he was going upwards. And they were talking about spacing, which is important for us, so that each time you take a picture, if you're moving the object on the stage at the exact same distance, then that just gives you a really even sense of spacing. But if you were to think about the position, like let's just take an example here where you have a ball that's on the table and you know that you want the ball to go that way. And so in order to get this ball to move, just make it go to the left a little bit first. That's your anticipation. That's your anticipation. Hold this ball here. Hold this ball so it's not doing anything for a good 16 frames or even 24 frames of nothing. And this is called a handle. So this gives your audience a chance to read that this ball is just sitting here. And then take a couple of frames, 3 or 4 frames for the ball to take its anticipation, and then have it speed up in its momentum. So have your images of the ball that are closer together. And then as it starts to move across the stage, speed it up a little bit. So this is, you're spacing the drawings out. So this is called easing into the motion. And then if your camera could see all this, and then down here, the spacing starts to get closer together for a position here where you want the ball to actually stop, then you can go past this position by a couple of degrees. This is an overshoot. And then you settle back into the position where you want to end up. So you take an anticipation to go opposite, ease into the movement, then you ease out of the movement by slowing it down. Then you go past the position where you want to settle at. So you go over to here and then you come back to settle into your final position. And so if you wanted to do something just as simple as that in stop motion, that would be great. The idea would be is that this all has to be under camera. So your camera would have to be able to see all of that. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so let's just review really quickly. Your camera has to be locked down, whether it is facing downwards, this camera is facing downwards, or you want your camera to be horizontal. And in this case, you can just do it by a couple of things. You can tape a couple of cardboard blocks to the table. I mean, you just literally tape it. Make a little mark on there so you know where it is. Keep your camera plugged in. And then a lot of times it's easier to reverse so that you can access the screen here and you're using your auxiliary camera on this side. But lock your camera down. That is the most important thing you can do. I like this. This is as simple as you get. Start with your ball or anything. It could be just a found object. A ball might roll around too much, but take an anticipation and then ease into the movement by speeding up the spacing, and then ease out of the movement by slowing down the spacing. Go past where you want to end up, and then settle backwards to your final position. And that is as simple and as elegant as a project like this gets. Or hopefully that makes sense, right? The either one, the camera pointing downwards or the camera pointing horizontally will get you through this project. Again, the most essential thing to think about is how you're going to lock your camera down. Lock that camera down, whether it's pointing down or whether it's pointing sideways. All right, let me just check this. They're using an iPad here. I had to rebuild my computer a little while ago and I took off my Dragon frame. Let's see what, just reiterate what they were suggesting here for your application. So this is just examples. I want to just make sure that All right, so these are just examples, and then this is Stop Motion Studio LLC. All right, hopefully that doesn't cost any money, that it's free. All right, let me just check this.
Stop Motion Studio is free.
Stop Motion Studio is free. And again, as I remember seeing that application, it's pretty easy to use. It only takes you 20 minutes or so to get a handle of it. Keep your cameras locked down. All right, let's take the last little block of time here, just look at some last minute submissions. Some people are just replying to each other, so that's good. And I've got Tiffany with a walk cycle. And again, this is a GIF. Okay, Tiffany, this is great. You know, it's a little abrupt on the up and down, but you definitely got the idea. You can now go back and put the arms swinging. Remember that when the right foot's forward, the right arm is backwards. You know, don't get confused about that. But this is very good. One thing that you would want to experiment with in animation is getting the main legs working. Great, you got that done. Now go back in and get the arms working, and then see if you can get some overlapping action going on with the hair that's dangling in front by her face. And you know, don't worry about it. Just get that hair to move just a little bit. It's just a little pendulum, right? It's just swinging. It's just swinging a little bit. So all your drawings have to do is just be a little different from each other, right? And
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do that, but I was pressed for time because at first I made mine traditionally, but I realized it looked really bad. And I got like a lot of my frames wrong. So I went back and traced over all of my frames on Procreate.
Right.
And as you were doing class, I was finishing it up.
No worries. In fact, I love that response. As an animation teacher, one of the strongest things you can ever tell me or show me is how many times you did it wrong. Because then that just means to me that you're trying, and you might be frustrated, it might not be fun at that moment, but as long as you keep going, you will eventually have fun with it and you will get it right. And you have just taught yourself 18 ways to do it wrong, as long as you remember not to make that same mistake again. And then try to put some overlapping in on the larger part of the hair. Remember, if you can see me in the window up there, one of the easiest ways to think about hair animation is that the body's going like this, right? The body's swinging back and forth. It's actually going up and down as it's walking, but there's a slight little hesitation as we go in our walks, in our steps. So pretend that there's a piece of rope and let the rope drag behind it like that. You see what I'm doing? Does that make sense? Here, I'll do it a little further away. See how it's dragging behind it? And giving yourself those little mnemonic devices with your hands sometimes helps, because you're like trying to figure out how the hair moves. We'll get the body to move and then the hair to follow. Body to move, hair to follow. Body, hair, body, hair. And just keep it simple. Don't try to overcomplicate it by putting little twists or curls in the hair. That'll just, it'll drive you crazy. But this is looking good.
Oh yeah, I did that for my traditional one, and every time I drew the hair, it looked completely different.
Why don't you go ahead?
Keep it simple. That's all I can tell you. Keep it simple. Let's see, was that everything for this one? Okay, so just remember, everyone, that I will be checking on these numbers here, right? And a lot of times what I'll do for this class, because we meet on Monday and Wednesdays, is I try not to write too many things in there. Occasionally I will respond, But for my Tuesday class, that means I've got to go through this one. So this might be interesting to you just to see what the other class is doing. I posted the same things for them. Hey, this isn't the other class, this is our class. All right, let's take a look at what the other class is doing. That might be interesting to you. So theirs was just a little different. There was no real directions for color, but a whole bunch of them started to do color. So again, this was just the hand-drawn part of the animation or the flip book. And here we got Tiffany killed the pig. When pigs fly. No, they don't. I'm sorry, Joe Marie killed the pig. And then they're kind of replying to each other. All right. So, you know, it's working, right? Got some stuff moving around. As long as one frame is different from the next frame, the animation will appear to move. That's for sure. As long as the frames are different, it will appear to move. Here a character is just throwing a ball and getting it to bounce. I think my suggestion was to maybe try to speed it up a little bit. It was looking a little sluggish. This one was crazy. Jessica had, this is like the last frame, but it starts out where there's just one character and the character is just walking, just a flip book. Then all of a sudden there's a big party. She's got like 4 or 5 characters on the screen. It's like, whoa, this is crazy great. Yeah, that was great. I wrote, oh boy. My critique is, oh boy, this is absolutely terrific. All right, are you guys and gals getting something out of this? Does this help you a little bit? This is really simple. We've got Sabrina oh, this was a GIF as well. Hold on. No, it's simple. The little bunny went up to try to bite the carrot and he fell. You know, it's as good as you can get for just a couple of days of work. Good job, Sabrina. All right, then we might get into some here that I haven't seen yet. This one, the character is just walking, but the feet are sliding, so it's just moving just a little too fast. I think that if Gracie had taken the walk and just kind of got the feet to match, it would have been a lot better. But it's working good. It's working pretty good. It's done with the Flip a Clip that we talked about last week. That's that free application for Windows and Mac. All right, this one's new. I haven't seen this one yet. Well, how about that? Nothing like animating a dog stretching. 2, 3 seconds of dog animation. Yeah, this is really good. You can tell they're having fun with it. That's the number one thing. If you're doing it right, it should look easy. Oh, this one's great. Check this one out. Look at just the really subtle movement of the hair. Isn't that great? It's a lot of work. You know, there's like 20 or 30 curls in the hair, and Leilani just got it right. It just nailed it. It's looking really good. That's really fun. Congratulations, Leilani. All right, and then I think I did look at this one. Yep, it's fun, right? Nothing like killing your character. You know, it's simple, right? The farmer's trying to pull the weeds. It works for me. Cats do not like getting wet. All right, we have another minute or here. Here's a flip book. And that's just really great. 20 or 30 pages of cardstock. And it's easy to read. The characters are simple. Pages fly apart and they come back together again. Well done. Well done. Oh, I like it. Little cat jump. One more time. Yep, exactly what you all need to be doing. And remember, this is from last week. We're getting onto the stop motion part of it. Sound effects help. Okay, that works. Looks like we got two more. And the last one. Oh, just before he got obliterated. All right, I thought you might enjoy seeing what the other class was doing. So at this point, what I would like to do is just make sure everyone is okay. We're doing stop motion this week. Get your cameras set up, do a test, do a couple of things, just move a couple of Legos around, right? The idea is to keep your camera steady. That's the number one thing that you can worry yourself with for this project. And it'll go for the cutout project as well that we'll introduce you to on Wednesday. It's the same thing. So if you can do both of them, whether they're both the cameras pointed down or where the camera's pointed sideways, you can keep them both the same, but make sure that the camera is locked down and registered. The camera shouldn't move around at all. Do I have any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms? Anything that starts with a K sound? Yes, Esther, you can put Bruce Springsteen behind as the backdrop to your music if you want. Do you like Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, I haven't heard of his music.
Oh, come on. He grew up in Newark. I think he grew up in Newark. He's like the biggest.
I will listen to it.
He's the biggest rock and roll Hall of Fame guy from New Jersey ever. Bruce Springsteen. You know Born to Run? You ever hear Born to Run?
No.
Oh, it's like the most important rock song of all time. All right, remember that if you need me, contact me through Yahoo. I'm still trying to figure out that last email. And I will see you on Wednesday. I will see you all on Wednesday.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, thank
Bye.
you.
I can finally use my extensive Lego collection.
There you go, perfect. All right, Brendan, did you want to hang out for just a second?
Oh, no, that's okay. If you got to go, I can
Okay.
take off.
Well, I think the idea would be is that you can't put things in the module because you can't get into the class.
Right, right.
But you are seeing that it is, hold on a second.